Well, welcome in, everyone. Thanks for spending your Tuesday evening with us. I'm Jay Smith. On my left, we've got Bradley Kendall. You know what it is. It's After Further Review, bringing you college football news even in the offseason. Tonight, though, we've got a really special guest. We had to pull a lot of strings, some would say, to get this guy on the show. Pat Godfrey, one of the players on the Clemson football team, is actually going to be joining us tonight. Should be a lot of fun, Bradley, After Further Review.
We got Pat God coming on tonight, special guest. We had Austin on, what was it, last week or the week before that?
Yeah.
So we're moving on up to one of the players now. So it should be exciting.
I heard Dabo was trying to schedule his interview for the show next week. I think he reached out to our publicist, but no, I mean it's gonna be a lot of fun. I can't wait to hear some of the stories that Pat has and some of the experiences that he's been able to have as a player here at Clemson. But just some of the background on him, and we'll have Pat on in a second. But just some of the background on him. You know, he is from a state that doesn't have a lot of Clemson players from. I mean, New York. He's from pretty far up north. He went to Harpersfield High School, which has a couple notable alumni. I did not realize, but I was doing a little bit of research, and Mariah Carey actually went to his high school, and Jeff Hawkins, the inventor of the long deceased Palm Pilot.
Wow.
Yeah, so he's
rich history out there.
Yeah, it is. But yeah, I mean, Pat obviously is a guy that, you know, being from up north, it's not something that you see common at big schools down south. I think Christian Wilkins is one of the only other guys on the team that's from that area. I think Christian played at a prep school. So, you know, obviously he's going to have different takes and different experiences on what football is like down in the south, not having grown up in that environment.
Oh, no doubt about it. I mean, it's usually a lot of basketball schools up there. You know, you get a couple occasional schools up north. But, yeah, I mean, you know, great for recruiting to be able to reach all the way up there and, you know, reach somewhere out in the north. But, yeah, you see a lot of guys down south, so we're lucky to have a different perspective of what it's like playing high school ball up north, and should be fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's his third year here at Clemson. He's already a graduate. What I did not realize, he graduated in 2 years, and which I believe is the quickest graduation for any Clemson football player in history.
And he went honors college.
Honors college, economics major. He actually roomed with one of our current roommates, Jackson Wright.
The NFL analyst.
That's right. Yeah, we'll be sure to see him for the draft episode. But yeah, real smart guy on the field and off, and can't wait to have him on the show. So we'll cut to a quick break, and when we come back, we'll have Pat Godfrey.
That was a great intro, guys.
All on each of these spectrums. So
solid.
First up, this is probably one of the more common ones that we see.
I'm gonna kindly ask.
I'm sure.
Well, welcome back. It was a quick break, but we've got Pat on the show. The desk is leaning a little bit to the right here. I think Bradley's.
We're
not quite evening it out.
We gotta balance it out a little bit.
But we really appreciate you taking the time, man.
Yeah,
I know you're busy.
I love watching all the shows on Facebook, and you guys do it real well. So
we didn't pay him to say that, by the way.
No, they did not. But
free
I'm
publicity.
a college football junkie myself. Not only being a player, but I'm a huge fan. So I love any opportunity to sit down and discuss old college football.
Yeah, and I think that we kind of talking to Austin last week, we really realized just how much work goes into the offseason that most people who are not involved with the team directly don't even really consider.
There really is no offseason.
It really does crack me up because all the time I'll be on Facebook or something like that, and I'll see people posting about how much they miss Clemson football and how much they can't wait for Clemson football to be back. And to me, it never left. Because really, the offseason just means that the workouts get harder, the practices are more stringent. They're not worried about anybody getting dinged up during spring ball, you know. So they got us out there hitting iron, sharpening iron every single day. And it's a tough grind all spring, really. But, you know, it's one of the necessary evils to deliver a solid product and really be the best you could be by the time fall camp rolls around.
I mean, that's just the standard. That's like what Dabo likes to say. And, you know, it is a quick turnaround, you're right, because, I mean, the spring game is coming up relatively soon.
It really goes very fast. I mean, I think, we played in the Sugar Bowl on the 1st of January. We were back to lifting by maybe January 20th.
Just a couple weeks
tough workouts all winter. Then we have mat drills.
Yeah, those have wrapped up now, but you had those for a few weeks.
Yeah, those are the last 2 weeks of February. So basically, for those who don't know, mat drills are basically just the most difficult hour and a half of conditioning you could ever go through.
It's about the closest you can get to going to the Army, right?
Coach actually tells us, I know you guys hate these, but the reason we do them are to build mental toughness. And anything that's used to build mental toughness is probably going to be something miserable. So I'm happy to have those in the rearview mirror. And now we kicked off spring ball last week, and we just had our 4th practice yesterday. And we got a nice little start so far.
I know we've seen a lot of the recruits that have recently come onto campus. What are your first signs that you've seen of some of those guys on there? You think we got a bright future looking ahead of us?
I mean, absolutely. I mean, I know I feel like bad about myself every time we bring a recruit on campus. Last week we had some kid from the class of 2020, a sophomore in high school, and this kid is
I saw your Snapchat. Yeah,
kid's 6'6" and like 315 pounds. I'm like, when am I gonna hit that growth spurt? He's 15 years old and towering over me. So no, I think we're definitely at the level right now where we can bring in some great talent, and we have been for years. But I think it's only gonna continue getting better, and I think the future is bright as ever.
Yeah, I mean, talk a little bit about what you've seen. We've only been here for 3 years, but the amount of change that we've seen in the program in 3 years, especially you with the insider perspective being on the team, it's got to be drastic. I mean, obviously Dabo's been in Clemson for longer than just his tenure as head coach, but the type of environment that he has built and the type of people that he has surrounding his program, I think right now is second to none.
Oh, I mean, I think one of the things that really stands out to me about the way that Coach Sweeney operates and the way that we function here at Clemson is they don't necessarily just go chasing after the guys who are, the biggest recruit. Not every 5-star recruit is going to get a Clemson offer. They really make sure to vet during the recruiting process and make sure that guy is going to fit into our culture, because really it's a culture that you have to buy in 100%. And once in a while, a guy will slip through the cracks, and we'll get a guy in here who doesn't fit the way that we do things, the way that we work, and the way that we behave, and they won't make it. It's very stringent around here, but I think that is one of the reasons why we have been able to compete at the highest level with the Alabamas and the Ohio States, maybe teams that have on the recruiting boards finished higher than us, but we have such a cohesive culture here that we've been able to really compete at a high level.
And I know we've seen a lot of that recruiting-wise. I mean, you look at the top rankings, a lot of them have 25, 26, 27 recruits. Clemson doesn't have, the quantity, but they got the quality in the recruits.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I think that's something important. A lot of schools go and they try and oversign because they expect a certain degree of turnover. But I think when you sign with Clemson, there's a certain expectation from you and with the staff that you're going to be there for 4 years and graduate. That is everybody's expectation. Or
2 years in your case.
Exactly. Yeah,
I mean, it's got to be weird because you're probably one of the only guys, maybe the only guy, I'm not sure, who's already a graduate.
Well, there's a few graduates on the team. I'm the youngest graduate on the team. I don't want to toot my own horn, but
hey, that's the place to do it.
Hey, I don't play all that much. It is my claim to fame. I graduated in 2 years. Christian did in 2.5, which is not too shabby in his own right, but I beat him out. And then we've got a couple 3-year graduates. I believe Justin Falsinelli did it in just over 3 years. And we got I think it's like somewhere around 8 or 9 graduates on the team, all seniors. Yeah, very.
That's impressive. I mean, to be able to balance. I mean, regardless of whether you're a student athlete or somebody that's working for the team in any capacity. I mean, Josh here, he's a general manager of Tiger Vision, but he's also equipment manager. You've got Austin, who we had on last week, student trainer. They've got video guys there. So that to be able to balance all that, and in addition to school, is just honestly very, very, very impressive.
We got something good going here in Tigertown.
You talked about the transition, though, between what we've seen with Clemson over the last couple of years since you've been here. You've had a big transition yourself. You came as a walk-on and then recently moved on scholarship.
I mean, yeah. It's honestly my story. It's been an incredible blessing coming down here. Didn't really know what to expect. I come from New York, and really, there's not much opportunity to get recruited at this level in New York. I got some offers from some 1AA schools in high school, but that was never really my dream. I grew up a huge Notre Dame fan, and I always loved college football. And to me, there's no better place to go play college football than Clemson. I remember being a junior in high school watching the UGA Clemson game on TV, and I think that might have been my first time ever seeing the Tigers run down the hill, and I just got chills down my back, and I thought, can you imagine what it must be like for those guys? So I rolled the dice. I decided to give it a shot, and I thought, hey, why not me? And so I came down, went to a 100-man tryout that was open to all the students, and I was one of 4 guys that made it.
Wow.
And then, the rest is history. Coach Sweeney took care of me, and rewarded my hard work with a scholarship back in August. So it's been an incredible journey.
And did he have any special presentation of the scholarship? Because I know you see some of those videos on ESPN sometimes.
Yeah, I was a little upset. I was kind of hoping that there would be a video, but I don't think he told anybody prior to doing it. I think it was really just on a whim that he decided to go for it. Basically, once or twice a year, maybe we'll do this thing called Safe Seat, where in the team meeting room, he'll bring up a seat in front of the whole team and basically just interview somebody, and you're supposed to be completely forthcoming and completely transparent in front of your brothers, basically. So he called up a teammate of mine, Noah DeHaan, and Noah was asked, which offensive lineman do you respect the most or appreciate the most? And he said me. I was very honored. And Coach Sweeney was like, you know what, Pat, how about you come up here? So I sat down, and he starts interviewing me. I tell my whole story. And at the end, he just grabs you on the shoulder and says, "Congrats, you're on full scholarship."
That's awesome.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Got mobbed by the whole team.
Yeah, that's a special moment.
It was.
What about, obviously from New York, so that's a ways away. What are some of the struggles that you've had to face with the distance that you are from being home? And you obviously don't get to visit home that often.
I mean, it's been tough. There's been sacrifices being a part of this program. I mean, it's a year-long commitment. I only get to see my family, a handful of times each year, and it is tough. I'm very close with my family, and being 15 hours is not easy to just, can't just hop in the car and go, off the cuff. So it's tough, but, I try telling myself every time I might get a little homesick, these are some of the best times of my life.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And for the rest of my life, I'm going to look back and say, I wish I could be a Tiger again. And I wish I could suit back up out on that field. So I've just embraced being here, and I got a lot of great friends here, very blessed. So that has made it a lot easier, being a part of the Clemson family. If I can't see my real family, a Clemson family is not bad either.
Good backup plan.
Yeah, it's cliche. It's said a lot, but it certainly does ring true. I mean, they love to talk about it. Evan loves to promote it on his tour groups. But yeah, I mean, I think it really rings true regardless of how you're affiliated with the school.
And I think my sister got into Clemson, into the
wow.
nursing program.
Awesome.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So it looks like we're going to have another Tiger.
Oh, she's made her decision then.
Well, she's not 100%, but it's leaning to
But old Big Brother is.
Hook her up with some of that gear.
I'm expecting to see her in Tiger Town next year, so I'm excited that the Godfrey tradition here is going to continue.
She's got to cheer on her brother, right?
Yeah,
That's right.
exactly.
Yeah. So,
exactly.
have you you came from the north. You lived there your entire life before coming down here, right? Have you liked the South enough? Would you want to stay down here post college?
I love the South. I mean, my plan. I'm doing my MBA right now in finance. My plan is, if everything goes well, I'm gonna go work on Wall Street in Manhattan, and then I'm hoping to have a lake house here the rest of my life.
And Lake Kiwi got some good golf.
Exactly. Well, hey, I want to be able to come down and tailgate and really enjoy game weekends from a different perspective than I've ever had. And I think there'd be nothing better than a nice little lake house. So we'll see. I'm gonna keep working, but that is the dream ultimately.
And alumni day, come back with some of the old players, right?
Absolutely,
The champions.
absolutely. Yeah, these are my brothers for life down here. I'm sure I'll be talking to a bunch of my teammates until the day I die. Really,
What's it like? Obviously playing games in Death Valley, the environment it's second to none in a lot of people's eyes, especially students and players. What's it like traveling to other schools? What's it like traveling to Virginia Tech? What's it like traveling to Florida State or South Carolina? Like, what is the difference?
It's unique, honestly. In some ways, I like it better. I mean, and I love Death Valley. I'm very appreciative of Death Valley, but there's something special about being the enemy and just looking around the room, and maybe that the 100 people or less than that, the 72 guys surrounding you, it's just y'all. In a very hostile environment where everybody's going against you. So to be able to unite and basically calm the haters and quiet the crowd, that's really cool.
That's got to be more satifying almost sometimes than beating up on an opponent at home.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, I remember Virginia Tech. That was one of the best atmospheres I ever walked into. I mean, and the whole crowd after Enter Sandman was just so rowdy. And you're looking up at Lane Stadium, and it feels like they're just completely on top of you. I had fans probably 5 feet from where we were sitting, just heckling us the entire time.
Y'all shut them up pretty quick, though.
We shut them up. And that was something special, I got to tell you. But no, I mean, USC, that's a rowdy environment.
Yeah.
To say the least.
Their student section was ruthless.
I know Dabo enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But
I think every time we get a win down in Carolina, it means a little something special to Coach Sweeney.
Even neutral site games. I mean, like obviously we've been in the playoff now 3 straight years, so you've been able to travel with the team extensively and go all over the country.
I mean, yeah, I would have never been to the West Coast, at this point in my life, had it not been for football. I've been out to Arizona twice now, and I mean, I've traveled the whole country. Went to the Orange Bowl, went to the Sugar Bowl in New Orleans this year, which is a lot of fun until the outcome of the game.
Beginning of it was fun, right?
Yeah.
The bowl week was enjoyable, but after that, it was pretty rough. But no, it's been so cool just getting to travel, on chartered jets with the team. You feel like a real celebrity sometimes.
You're gonna pick all the stuff like the beats and all that before you go.
Exactly. Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, no, I can imagine that side of it that a lot of kids, grow up. I mean, obviously got people from around Clemson idolized. I think I read this in an article that was typed up on you by somebody from your hometown that was talking about how you were saying that, down here in Clemson, people live and die for their Clemson Tigers.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, it really hit me, I think, for the first time when we headed off to the Orange Bowl down in Miami in 2015, and we're driving to GSP, and at every overpass there was fans just going crazy, who had waited outside in the middle of December or the end of December just to wave to the Tigers as they passed by, and that really struck a chord. It really makes you realize how far-reaching this program is, how many lives we impact, and it's such a blessing. I'm some kid from Long Island, and I get to be a part of this. It's great.
Now, we hear you were known for your pancakes. I know we hear a lot of that in your Snapchat story, your plays on special teams where you're taking guys out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a third string center.
Yeah.
Still valuable because
Yeah.
it's not an easy job to learn, so they still depend on me somewhat. But my real claim to fame is I'm the wedge captain on kick return. So I like to joke around a little bit. Versus Miami, I went out there the first play of the game, and I pancaked somebody from Miami. And afterwards on Snapchat, I did joke around and say that it might have been the momentum the team got from seeing me do that pushed us to the 38-3
drubbing of them.
Yeah, over number 7 Miami. So, I like to hit hard. It's something that comes with the territory. You got to be a little bit crazy to be at that spot because basically my job is I just get right in front of Travis and just hit whoever is coming from 60 yards away.
A little bit like Boulware or even Skalski. I mean, I feel like
James,
from what I've heard, Skalski can't get through a single practice without having a really scuffed up helmet.
Oh, yeah, the guy's crazy. I mean, every time I line up across from him, I'm like, okay, I might be in
for a long ride here.
Yeah.
In for a long ride, maybe a little headache after this hit because the guy brings the heat. And I played with Boulware for 2 years, but James hits harder.
Wow.
James is probably the hardest hitting backer I've been up against ever. Yeah, the guy's he's a little crazy.
He makes you pay, right? Yeah.
He makes you pay. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'd like to think I make him pay also. The feeling is mutual. But,
it's got to be.
No, he's a tough boy. He's going to be a real player for us this year.
Well, I mean, what do you feel like? I mean, obviously, there's been a lot of talk, local media, and then here about what this coming season is going to look like in terms of the recruits that are coming in and the quarterback position and all that still has to be hashed out. But what's one thing that you think will be y'all's secret weapon that you feel like you could disclose? What's one thing you feel like an area that other teams are not going to be paying attention to, but they should this fall?
That's tough.
Got to be the center position, right?
I mean, yeah, my boy Justin Falsinelli is coming back for his senior campaign. I think All-American might be in store for him, but I don't know. I mean, the offensive line is going to be better than ever. We got a cohesive unit. I mean, we lost both guards, but we have a lot of depth on the offensive line, and I'm partial, obviously, but I think we're going to have a really good year on the O-line. And then
D-line might be pretty good, too. From what I hear, I think those guys are decent.
Yeah, they get they get a lot of the press.
There's got to be a rivalry, though, between the D-line and the O-line, at least a little bit.
We fight. during practice. I mean, it's a pretty normal occurrence. It's a very intense practice environment. We compete our tails off every single day. So, I mean, it's nothing out of the ordinary every, half hour or so for a couple guys to be shoving and punching each other a little bit. But, it's a kind of family atmosphere. Like, it's like fighting with your brother. So, we might go out there and try and beat the heck out of each other, but we go back into the locker room and laugh about it and who got their clock cleaned and whatnot.
Yeah, well, I guess one last question that I have, and Bradley may have a few more, but one last question I feel like I want to ask is, after your football career is over, what are you going to take away from your time at Clemson? What's the lasting impact of your involvement and participation on the team here?
I think the thing that really stands out to me is just the dedication, the amount of hours that I put in. I mean, I think when I hear about a 9 to 5, it sounds like time off. That sounds easy to me. I'd be more than willing to sign up for a 9 to 5 right now. So, I mean, Clemson football is really all about competition. That's how we get to the level that we're at. Is every single day in practice is never easy because you're always trying to beat out somebody else, and they put us in a lot of those competitive situations where most schools don't do that. So I think they've kind of taught me how to compete day in and day out, and I think I'll be able to push that and use it going forward in whatever career path I choose. I've got the kind of mindset coming from Clemson that really I'm going to be the best at what I do, or I'm going to die trying.
Yeah, best is the standard. I mean,
Exactly.
that mantra applies not only to football, but life beyond football.
Exactly.
I think it's the message that Dabo's preaching and allowing the guys to develop after their career's over.
I got one question real quick.
Right.
If none of y'all have seen the Clemson Football Walk-On's Instagram page, Pat has it right up, and in there it talks about your love of Pitbull. Tell us a little about that.
Well, first of all, everyone go out and follow on Instagram, Clemson FB_walk-ons. I don't know who runs it, but they're
we don't
funny,
know.
those guys. Yeah, I love Pitbull. I mean, people can say what they want, but deep down inside that when Pitbull comes on, you want to dance. It makes you happy. You've never had a bad day. Listen to the Time of Our Lives or Give Me Everything. And no, I mean, he's really the American dream. He was an immigrant, grew up poor, Dade County, Miami, and now look at him. He is incredibly successful, always followed around by beautiful women, and that's pretty much the life that I want to live. So Pitbull is a hero of mine. I speak
In addition
Spanish.
to the lake house.
Yep. Exactly.
In
If
addition
I
to
could
the
just
lake
have a
house.
lake house and Pitbull's entourage, I am set. That's all I need.
So that's the song you listen to right before you get out in the field. You mix up a little Pitbull.
Yeah, maybe
right?
Give Me Everything. Yeah,
Yeah.
That'll just get you going. But I mean, he's got so many classics. I'm a big Pitbull guy. I saw him in concert. I tried to see him once, and it got rained out, and I went back the next year to see him again.
Dedication.
I had to see Pitbull.
Yep.
All right, man. Well, we appreciate you taking the time to come on. It's been a lot.
I got some questions for you guys.
Here we go.
Okay.
He did
All right.
mention this.
All right. We got a few more minutes.
Okay, how about this? We've been here through 3 years of incredible Clemson football action. I want to know from you guys, let's discuss this, come to a little consensus. What are the top 5 home games that we've been a part of?
Ooh, man.
And let's put them in order. How about that? Let's get some out there, some ideas, and then I want to rank them, because this gets tough when you really think about it.
It really does, because I mean, we've seen a lot of home games, but there's only a few that are just super memorable enough to bring up. I know. Yeah. Louisville, Notre Dame for me, definitely the top 2 right there.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I would put Louisville, Notre Dame.
Those are always going to be the ones you go to immediately. Probably I would say Louisville would be number 1 for me. That's the one game that.
Yeah, they're both incredible games, but to me, the Louisville game, there's just something nice about it. The fact that it was like 70 degrees and like a beautiful day that day, as opposed to Notre Dame, we all had to endure a hurricane.
It's the great flood part too.
It was the great flood.
Absolutely brutal. Now, what other games you put in there? I mean, NC State comes to mind.
I mean, it's a little bittersweet there because
it was a noon game and maybe should not have been as close as it was, but I mean.
Well, he left at halftime, so he
Florida State. I'm looking here now. 2015, November 7th, Florida State. We beat them 23-13 at home.
That was the first time we had beaten them in quite a few years.
It had been a while. So
that was the first time they were underdogs.
Every time we play Florida State, in all honesty, that's the most nervous I get for any game all year is Florida State.
Yeah, of course.
And when we beat them at home pretty convincingly after having beaten Miami earlier that season and having beaten Notre Dame, like I felt like 2015, our freshman year, all of our freshman years, we were just on a roll.
It was kind of a shift in the dynamic of Clemson's identity because we had been a relevant, a top 10 team, but that was really the first year that we kind of stepped into the national spotlight as a national championship contender. And to me, that was very special. I came in, we were ranked number 12 when I first got here, and I knew we were going to be good. We had just come off a pretty big win in the Russell Athletic Bowl versus Oklahoma. But that year, kind of going through that excitement that was around campus, just for everybody who had never really expected Clemson to reach such heights. We were number one in the country for about 8 weeks or so. I'm not sure. Yeah, you got it right there. We were for a while.
Got Auburn in there.
Got Auburn. Now, 2 games that I feel like go under the radar are, wait a minute, I had to pull. Okay, NC State from 2016, the game that went into overtime, that definitely should not have gone into overtime, but ended up being a great win, and then South Carolina. 56 to 7. I mean, that game was so sad.
Did you get in that game with South Carolina?
Yeah, I played with South Carolina. I played versus Carolina the past 2 years on offense, and obviously I played special teams versus them, but I also got in on offense the past 2 years, which is pretty sweet. I did not expect to be playing versus them, and they threw me in there, and it was pretty satisfying to get in versus the biggest rival and beat up on some SEC talent.
Yeah, I mean, Georgia Tech from this past year, we beat them at home 24-10.
That
was a good game.
Yeah, everyone was pretty excited for that. Now, okay, if I was to ask you guys, this might be tough to whittle down, but top 5 games, period. Since we've been here.
Since we've been here.
Since we've been here.
Since we've been here.
Well, we know number one's
going to
championship.
Be
okay. Yeah.
I think number 2. I mean, I don't want to chalk up a loss, but I feel like that first national championship was an epic game.
It was a good game.
I mean, just from an objective point of view, with no bias, like it was just both games were amazing championship games.
Yeah, they really were.
So
and I'd say 3 was Oklahoma, I guess, for me, because that was the first time Clemson was really on the big stage. Like
Ohio State beating Ohio State 31-0 for me was almost as good as winning a national championship.
Yeah, that was crazy to me because I remember the whole week. You know, they had a lot of hype behind them. We were actually the underdogs going into the game, and I remember, you know, I was like, everyone was asking me, Pat, we're gonna win, we're gonna win. I was like, I don't know. I mean, these guys are pretty good. They had J.T. Barrett and Nick Bosa and a ton of talent in the defensive backfield, Lattimore and those guys. And we just went out there and we played a great game. They played down a little bit and we just waxed them. So that was pretty satisfying, and realizing, holy cow, we're gonna get to go back to the national championship versus Alabama. That was a special one.
And did y'all want to see Bama? Was that the team that you guys wanted to face?
Of course.
You had a preference?
Of course. Like they'll go out and tell you, oh yeah, it doesn't matter who we play. We just want the opportunity. And I would have been happy playing anybody, but we wanted to beat Bama and get vengeance. Just like, this year, again, I mean, it'd be sweet to win it all. Of course, it'd be incredible to win it all, but if we could somehow get through Alabama in the process, that would just be perfect.
It's like Dabo said after the press conference of the Sugar Bowl this past year. He was like, the saga's not over. Nobody died. Like, these 2 teams are still going to be around next year. They're still going to be contenders. Will they match up again? Maybe not.
This past year was just tough because I felt that the Sugar Bowl was not an accurate representation of who we were as a team, and
if you rematched the game,
if you really look at the game, we didn't play well, and it's 10-6 in the third quarter.
We came down to 2 plays.
We're driving, and it was really just bang, bang right there in the middle of the third quarter. And it was really a great defensive matchup the entire game. I just felt like Alabama, those guys were really hungry. They came out and they played a perfect game, and we just didn't perform up to our standard. I think if we had played like we had versus Miami, it might be a different conversation now. And it's just tough because we all had to hear I don't know if you guys are there, but SEC.
Yeah.
SEC.
Oh yeah, that
grinds my gears more than anything, man. I mean, I'm an ACC homer to the death, and I cannot stand the SEC banter and all the lies that come along with it. So
most of the time, that SEC is coming from the people down in Columbia, though. You
Yeah.
see that
Yeah,
more
'cause they know they
from
can't
South
reach it there, so they
Carolina
gotta-
than you do from Alabama.
That's their only claim to fame, you know. I mean,
Yeah.
At least they're getting beat up on in the SEC now, as opposed to the ACC, like in the days of old. But
Yeah,
I
this is
mean,
true, going way back.
Yeah,
way
back. Now you got Notre Dame in the ACC too, so you can root for that too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, quasi ACC.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah,
Everything
yeah,
but
well,
football.
what are they?
Everything
They're,
from
they're a
football.
5-game-a-year member, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
They play 5 ACC teams. I do think it's cool. I mean, I would like to see them join at some point in the future, but you got to understand with the rivalries that they have built in at that school. They have to play Stanford every year. They have to play USC every year. They have to
And
play Navy.
When you have your own
Which really-
TV network
yeah.
dedicated to
Exactly.
broadcasting your
And
games.
It really wouldn't be feasible for them to fully join the ACC, but that would be a cool idea. I feel like that bolstered the strength of our conference so much if we could add another one of those big-time blue blood programs to the conference. Because really, I feel like when you're looking at the ACC and you're looking in terms of football schools, there's really 3 schools that stand out as what you think of as major big-time football in the upper echelon of all college football. It's going to be Miami, Clemson, and Florida State. And I mean, we've got a lot of good programs, you know, that have some history. I mean, between
Virginia Tech, Louisville,
you know, having a Heisman Trophy winner, Virginia Tech. I guess Virginia Tech could potentially be up there with us, Florida State, and
They were there for a
Miami.
while.
Yeah,
they
with-
were for a long time.
Beamer.
With Frank Beamer, but I don't know. I think if we could add Florida State, really, Notre Dame. I don't think you could ever make the argument anymore that we are a basketball conference. Because we might be the best basketball conference, but if you look top to bottom, the ACC is as strong as anybody right now. The SEC at the top is very strong, or this past year
But
was.
down the list.
But you go down the list, you got Vanderbilt, Kentucky, and Arkansas. You know, they're not really pulling their weight, just like you could say about, you know, some of the bottom dwellers in the ACC. So I do think it's interesting whenever you get into this conference power rankings kind of talk, because everyone's going to have their own opinions and have their own pride on the line. But I think that the ACC is going to come back next year stronger than ever. And
I'll tell you what, I don't see a career future on Wall Street. I see a career future on air. Sports radio, man.
I can appreciate it,
I
guys.
mean, he's holding his own right now with
He's
these
doing-
arguments.
No, I love this. I'm in my element right now because pretty much my entire life is either playing sports or just
Talking
debating
about sports.
Yeah.
Hey.
So I don't know if you guys
Welcome home.
Yeah, if you guys ever want to do like a baseball special, I can talk Mets with you
know
all
you're a Mets
day.
fan.
I'm a big college basketball guy too. I'm excited for the
Hey,
tournament.
if you're free on
coming up.
Monday nights, we do a baseball show here.
Yeah,
guys
the
do
rundown.
baseball?
We do.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They got
We'd love
him
to
and
have
a
you
couple
on.
other guys
Absolutely.
on there
Heck
every
heck
Monday.
Yeah, I gotta. How about sometime like a little closer to opening day?
Sure. I mean, hey, we got spring training stuff now, but definitely just a couple weeks from now. It's
Yeah, no, I'm a
right around the
little
corner.
nervous because, you know, the Mets, we had Cespedes go down and we had DeGrom. Well, I know that everyone here is not watching for Mets baseball, but I am somewhat of a versatile sports aficionado, so I feel right at home with you guys. You guys are the best, but I try as well. So.
All right. Well, we do appreciate you taking the time, though, man, to come on. It's been a lot of fun talking some football with you, and we look forward to seeing you down there on the field this coming season.
All right, thanks so much, boys.
Yeah, man.
Yep.
Had a lot of fun.
Thank you, sir.
And Tiger Nation, love y'all. Have a great night.
Yeah, man. It's been a lot of fun. Thanks to Pat again for coming on the show. For Bradley and myself, this has been After Further Review.